What's up, folks? This is Justin Garcia, aka Master Chim, and I'm here with the whiteness, white boy Pat Patrick Kelly.
What's up?
And welcome to Pressure Project Radio number 61. Number 61. So, just making sure that we are up on the Facebook page through our many, seems we're good, through our many evolutions of the radio show. We are now doing it live on Facebook, on the MC page, and we're using this software to do it remotely. Pat is in Jungle Gym New Rock, right, the Academy up in Rochelle. I'm up at my house in the Poconos, and we are here. So a couple of announcements. Well, I guess before we get into that, let me say what's up to people. What's up, Andrew, Big John, Joe, Kat, Pete, Big James, what's going on? All right, yeah, everybody seems to be coming in. I'm assuming you guys could hear and see me. Just do me a favor, either hit likes or just say we could hear you, see you. Let me know that we are up. All right, I'm going to stand by because I don't want to say some cool stuff. And,
have it lost in eternity.
Just making sure that
all
we are
right.
up.
What's up, Frankus?
Frank is in the house. Okay, we got Big Aaron in the house. What's going on, Aaron? What's up, Brian? All right, and I got my little video, if you guys can see, just making sure that shit's going right.
Yeah, I got doing the same thing.
Redundancies.
Yeah.
I tell you, when you've been through so many different fucking hurdles that Pat and I have, you learn how to figure shit out. Pressure to power, right? That's the saying.
100%.
Okay, so let's get into some official stuff, do some housekeeping. Thepressureproject.com is the website. You guys know that. Info@thepressureproject.com is our contact email. Thepressureprojectmembers.com is the membership site. Check it out. We just went through some incredibly vast and sometimes overwhelming updates for the membership site, and we have a whole new list of benefits and such that are there. Pat, go over what's going on the membership site.
All right. So membership site, if you guys are members, you see that we're changing things for the good every single day, every single night. I was just updating stuff last night. We have over 300 archived episodes of the Pressure Project, Pressure Project Radio. A new segment that's being archived on there is the Manversation Monday. That is on the Tribe Facebook page, which is also a members-only benefit. You can access to the Pressure Project Tribe Facebook members-only group. So Manversation Mondays are up. The first one that was archived went up last night. We have all of the power programs, Loyalty Matrix, Warrior Continuum, the Pressure Con footage, Strong Dad, Strong Son, Business of Building, and what was the last? Function First. All of those are up and revamped so that they're easily accessible now. We have all of the members-only episodes. We have a whole bunch of members-only episodes, part 2 episodes that are up. And we keep adding more and more content all the time. There's going to be new programs coming out. There's going to be tons of new stuff. And we're continuing to add things, bells and whistles, and making so the user experience is second to none. So you guys can find everything you're looking for. There's no issues, no problems. And membership's been growing. We got a bunch of new members. I have some shout-outs to do, but we'll take care of those later.
Right.
But yeah, all good stuff. And, go to pressureprojectmembers.com. If you're not a member, you'll get all the information you need to become a member. If you are a member, just log in and grow in power.
Yeah, so it's going well. It's going well. I got to say, this was, every once in a while I get this reset, and it usually comes from me being just, I guess, fidgety in all the things I'm doing in my life. And it's like I get this claustrophobic feeling like I got to do something. And usually something good happens when I get in one of those phases. And we decided to revamp the entire, user experience for the Pressure Project members. And right now, I got to say, I am super, super stoked with how it's coming out. But enough about that. So
it's not even done.
Right, it's not even done.
We're still adding more stuff and always making it better.
Always making it better. The next series that we're gonna release, probably within a week or so, is the next power program is on reactionary gap. which should be pretty cool because this is one of the concepts that I first learned in SciOc that is not very not even that it's not even understood. Most people don't even realize it exists, and powerful things that I've been around.
And the people that don't know it exists are the ones that are getting knocked down the street.
And there goes my internet. All right, I'm going to disconnect and reconnect real quick.
Cool. I got more to talk about.
You know what? Do the shout-outs.
All right, I'll do the shout-outs. All right, so we got some new to your members. We got some full name people. So the way it works is when you become a to-year member now, because that's the current model for up until June 1st, shout out on the live show. After June 1st for new members or current new members, if you do the year, you'll get a shout out on the live show. So these are the 2-year members that are making it happen now. If you're a current member, remember, get it done before June 1st, become a 2-year member. So we have Connor Vike, Raul Sheridan, and Shea, or LaRoche, probably LaRoche, and Marlo. I don't know who Marlo is, but he wanted only his first name. And that's that. And we got a bunch of people that don't want to shout out, by the way. That's an option. If you don't want to shout out, no problem. But I'm not going to say none 13 times.
Right, exactly right. So, okay, just checking in with you guys that are watching. We got Big Matt. What's up? What's up, Heather? We got Robert Wheel. Frank is obviously in the house. Arlene, what's up, darling? Big Gary, Big Mike Davis, Brian, Nate, Big Nate.
Awesome.
All right, we got all right, my man Brian James. He says that great talk yesterday with our brother Augustus. I had a great time. Were you able to catch that, Pat?
It was good.
Pat is the one messing up.
I'm good. You were messing up. It looked like you're starting to get fuzzy again. But yeah, I caught the talk. It was awesome.
Yeah, I can't fucking catch a break with this thing.
Make sure the kids aren't watching movies.
My Max Headroom. I had to show little guy the other day who Max Headroom was because he didn't understand.
Oh, he didn't know what it was?
He had no idea. So I'm going to reset this again real quick. Stand by.
Okay. PressureCon, right? Another thing I forgot to mention for the member site. Members only events. We're going to have more members only events coming up, but right now, PressureCon is the next one. It's in July. Members only members can sign up for that. So if you haven't signed up for PressureCon yet and you're a member, check it out. It's on the events page. Make it happen. If you went to last year's PressureCon, you guys get the hookup because you went last year. So make PressureCon happen. It's going to be awesome. It's 2 days now, so it's going to be great.
All right, good. I should be good now, yeah?
Yeah, solid. You zoomed in a little bit, but other than that, you're good.
I don't even know. Would you put your camera on the setting?
540?
I would switch mine to 480 now.
Okay, well that's why.
Clear.
It's 480. That's why you're zoomed in more because I get it. That's a HD to SD thing.
No, but it was 540 before. I had to go down to 480.
Yeah, 540 is like that's the cusp between HD and SD. 480 is SD, but it still looks good. It looks clear.
Yeah. All right, good to go. All right, but I was saying I had a really good time talking on Augustus's podcast last night, and the link is on the MC page, so you guys should be able to check that out and listen to it now. Well, not now.
Yeah,
but, listen to this after the show. All right, we got Ricardo in the house.
Little guy said never heard of MASH either. What the fuck? What about Bonanza, little guy? You ever heard of that?
I've known little guy since he was born. And let me tell you, he was a weird motherfucker. But I will say, in his defense, I think his weirdness peaked at about 13, 14. And now he's like becoming normal, more and more normal.
He's on this normal slope back to normal.
The best is he's got to do the show notes about this while I'm talking about how weird he was when he was a kid.
He's going to love that. That's going to be his favorite entry in the show notes. That's funny.
All right. So we got a couple things to talk about today. I got a couple of questions from listeners. and I wanted to cover them. And I'm not going to. I edited them somewhat because, like, some of them are pretty personal, and I really don't want the guy. I don't want a couple of them. Like, I want to keep them anonymous.
Sure.
And a lot of specifics were put in. I did tell each one of them that I was going to read, their question on the air. So these are the edited versions, but if people could still figure out who they are, obviously, it's not my intention. But we're going to start with a question that I got from DS. Those are his initials. He said, MC, my brother died recently of pneumonia, even though it was a result of stuff brought on by him not taking care of himself. He was only in his 30s. I was asked to say a few words at a memorial service this Saturday. I realize these things are for the people living, but I was wondering, what do you think about eulogizing a man whose life was ultimately ended by his own weakness and poor decisions? Okay, so obviously, don't like hearing about, people's brothers dying, in their 30s. And but I do understand the predicament. And what I would say is, not only is this for the living, but it is also for the legacy of what your brother's to represent in your tribe, what lessons his life have to teach the future generations, the current members of the tribe. And that needs to be the sort of goal or the mission of what this eulogy is going to be. I've had the privilege, yet misfortune, of eulogizing a few people. I know, Pat, you were there for a couple of them.
Yep.
And, there is not a person around that doesn't have flaws, that doesn't have weaknesses, that doesn't have those characteristics or traits that we would, objectively condemn if they were a part of somebody we didn't know or care about. And that's, I would say, to some extent, understood. I think most people understand that nobody's perfect, right? And I think the opportunity that you have in this eulogy is to reinforce those positive things that your brother was associated to reinforce even the lessons learned from some of the obstacles that eventually maybe led, to his passing. There's power to be had in his story. He may not be the hero of that story, but regardless of the fact, his journey, I'm sure, has lessons to teach everybody in your tribe. So I wouldn't get, and I know it's easier said than done, but I wouldn't get bogged down by the personal, emotional attachments, to the resentments that you may have had for your brother's, inability to sort of overcome, those weaknesses. And I would say, look to the tribe, look to the future, look to, the legacy of who he is and what he represents for your tribe, and find the power. And that's what you talk about. I know there have been people who I've been to funerals where, you've had people who have overdosed, and the eulogy is usually centered around, the pitfalls and perils of drugs and how we as a tribe could sort of form a more supportive network and structure so that we don't have people falling by the wayside and getting to the point where, they're the point of no return before we even realize, the situation they're in. So there are a lot of different stories out there, but I would say there's power to be had in all of them. And I think that your best bet is to stay focused on that, because ultimately, you can't yell at your brother anymore. You can't criticize him. You can't change him. You can't remove the history. It is what it is. The story is what it is. So now it's time to sort of focus on that next chapter, and being able to pull the power from his story, I think, is a great segue into that.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. So I do appreciate that. I do appreciate that question. I know it's a very, very personal, and, I'm always gracious for the trust that people give me when sending me these. So, all right, next question I got from Gareth. Now, Gareth, this isn't a super personal, my family member just passed away type of question. So I told him I was going to share it. And Gareth is a good friend of the podcast, has been for some time. He's down in South Africa. South Africa. He says, "Hi, MC. Just saw your post about having one life to live and to give, and that refers to your tribe. I think this is awesome. You've spoken about tribe so much that I cannot ask and expect a solid answer on Facebook. But ultimately, is tribe the people you surround yourself with, and you're all working towards to achieve the same goals?" Yeah. Okay, so he's basically repeating, my definition of what tribe is, and he says, "Does it include people of your own culture?" Not trying to make this completely about ethnicity, but I ask as it should be irrelevant or relevant. However, people from our own culture get us, and we get them as opposed to people from another culture. Okay, so paraphrasing, because trying to figure this out and read it out loud is obviously not working. He's saying, or he's asking, should ethnicity play a role in who is in our tribe and who is not in our tribe? And he acknowledges that obviously people that are of our culture and ethnicity get us, right? Culture being what groups of people do by way of ritual. And he says, obviously, recruit, do not convert. He says, at the end of the day, will there always be this is very unusual. He actually apologizes for this example, but I guess like me, he just has to say what's in his head. He says, at the end of the day, will there always be the gay Native American Navy SEAL in your SEAL team, where he's still tribe, but not your brother? Okay, so I'm going to try and decipher this. I skimmed over it, copied it, and pasted it, and I was like, I'll do this on the show. So he's asking, are you going to have people in your tribe who are not necessarily of your culture, not necessarily of the rituals that you, in your ethnic groups, or just culture in general, do? And I would say it's very important to understand what the mission is. If somebody is, he uses the example of a Navy SEAL on a SEAL team, their mission, the alliance that has brought them together, is a military-based one, right? It's that they are Americans, they are soldiers for the American military, and they are going to go on missions that are congruent with, the intent of leadership in our government. So that is what has brought them together. Now, obviously, the more elite the groups that are formed, the more congruent the individual identities of those groups tend to be. Because if you're talking about a high level of performance under super, super stressful or pressured conditions, then you don't want the anomalies of having all of these incompatible, incongruent rituals being performed by the individual identities in that group. So can there be somebody who's completely different from you in your tribe? I would say probably generally only to the extent that individual identity does not sabotage the group's pursuit of mission, and that individual's loyalty does not remain so open that he starts to flirt with sabotaging the group's mission, right? So if you have I love using the vegan, non-vegan example, but if you have a family of vegans, right, and everybody in this family is vegan, and you got the one cousin that shows up with steaks every barbecue, right? Or I don't even know if vegans have barbecues, like grilled salads or some shit. But a picnic, let's say.
They have a grazing.
That's more right, a family grazing. And the guy's showing up with steaks. There's a certain point there where it becomes something that the group now has to deal with. It's not so much, this is my eccentric cousin, it's here's my cousin being an asshole. Now the family has to sit him down and explain to him why he needs to stop doing that. So I would say that traditionally, right, historically even, people that are in our ethnic groups, our cultures, were the people that we saw every day, were the people that did the things within our group, within our literal tribe that allowed us all to survive. Now it's much less of a practical application or mechanism for survival, but we certainly still can experience the benefits of having all of those, commonalities, not only in what we do, but down to our very programming, how people look, how people act, what type of things, people gravitate toward, what type of things people move away from, having people from, Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, in, the mountains of fucking Scandinavia, they're going to have biological adversities that people who are native to those lands aren't going to have. And this just produces a different type of culture, because, they're trying to work shit out, being in that new climate, whereas other people don't have those issues and tend to invest their energies elsewhere. So it's, again, it's not better or worse. I don't need to get into that. It's congruent, incongruent. It's, functional and dysfunctional. So, somebody could certainly be different, but different within the realm of remaining functional as a member of your tribe. If they are dysfunctional, then they need to be dealt with. They need to change, leave, whatever the protocol for that tribe, in particular has. And a tribe that does not have a protocol for dealing with whether changing or removing, exiling or eliminating people who have an open loyalty, then that's a tribe that is not going to last very long. Remember, the leadership, a good leader for a tribe is somebody who inspires people to fight for the tribe's immortality. So when it comes to the mission of a tribe, it's making sure that the timeline doesn't end before the mission is achieved. And if we're talking about a tribe that's based and designed around legacy, well, the timeline is not supposed to end, right? Because the actual mission is having that next generation. So somebody who could do something to compromise that because of who they are as an individual needs to be dealt with. And again, not a value judgment, just compatible, incompatible, functional, dysfunctional, right?
100%.
All right. So let me share a couple of you guys' comments. Carl says, no one here is a part of the culture I was born into, but we are all brothers due to mission. Absolutely. And that's the thing, Carl, it happens to be a friend of mine, and I know the ethnicity from which he comes is not something that he experiences every day dealing with the people he deals with. But again, the mission, he has a mission, and the alliances that he's formed with that mission are not based around participating in that culture that we speak about. And somebody who is a sort of transplant from one of these other cultures, let's say that you have somebody that's Korean, right? And Carl's not Korean, but just to use an example, a Korean that is born and raised to adolescence in South Korea moves to America. And let's say he moves to the Midwest and, there are no Koreans there. There's a certain point where he starts to lose his Koreanness in terms of the culture. And we see this happen all the time, right? The immigrants that come over, right? I remember the Italians, or my grandmother who was from Puerto Rico, she was here 30, 40 years, never learned how to speak English, And obviously I think it's completely bullshit because my obligation and loyalty is to the American culture. And American culture, you should fucking speak English. So the thing is, when you have these people that are transplanted from one culture to another, well, they either assimilate or they install that culture into this new location. But even in those instances, because you are not in the conditions by which that culture originally evolved, it's always going to be a different take on what that, it's going to be a branch, if you will, of what that original culture was. You could look at Great Britain and Australia, right? Australia originally populated by the British, but the Australians now don't consider themselves, a British culture necessarily. They pretty much identify as an Australian one. Another example, talking about Gareth, right? Or the Afrikaners who came from Europe and, populated South Africa. And, you ask them now, and, we've had plenty of talks with people from South Africa here on the podcast, any push or any sentiment expressed by people outside of the scenario about bringing them back to Europe is rejected by the South Africans, by the Afrikaners. Yeah. They're saying, no, like, I'm from the bush now. This is all I know. This is what I do, and it's understandable because, their culture is now that original culture installed into these lands, into this environment. And, I think we can't ignore that. It's one of the big criticisms I have for the loyalties that are expressed to European countries by Americans, somehow over, or as a greater priority to your loyalties as an American. It's like, listen, we're here now. Our daily hustle and bustle, how we get by, how we provide for our families, how we create and design a tribe that's going to be able to pursue legacy, like that all happens here. These people, sure, we at one point were a part of that group, but that group has since branched off, formed other alliances, engaged different lands, different climates, different environments, or I should say terrains and such. Like where we live now speaks to who we eventually will become. Who we were when that dance begun, is a part of our history, but it's certainly not something that we can consider ourselves connected to more directly than the people who are in our tribes today, So there's that.
100%. Good shit.
Matt Johnson says, and there is no black Vikings or Celts, so why would they be in my tribe who is modeled after the aforementioned peoples? Well, this is something that we always talk about, the black Viking, scenario. It's a guy who is adorning a culture that he has no connection to, right? So if you are saying that, listen, you are going to be an American Viking, and you are going to install that Viking culture into who you are now in the lands that you populate, that's a position, I guess, but to say that, I'm going to honor a people that I have no actual connection to, it's at best hollow, at worst fraudulent, and I think that is where people, go wrong where these things are concerned. Just because you like it doesn't mean that you get to act like you are like it. We have the same criticisms for transgenders, for who are these fucking idiots that injure themselves because they want to be handicapped? What were they called? Do you remember?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I don't remember what they're called. I'll find out.
Transable? Assholes? Trans assholes. Was it transableist?
That sounds actually right. Transable sounds right. Sounds pretty good.
But this is what you have. You have people who are not of a certain situation, not of a certain group of people, but want to just do something superficial to install themselves in that group. It's like, no, now, like if you're saying now these people, let's explore this for a second. If you're saying there is a group of people from, let's use the African group, who move to some sort of Norse region that they have no connection to, but they are now living on these lands, right? Now, even though that's the case, for them in that land to abide by or honor the gods that were, or the culture, but really the gods, it's more easily understood, of a people that they have no connection to, is still fraudulent, because they could go to those lands and they would have to have their own story that is written on those lands. Now, it may very well be the case that the lore that comes out of a culture, from a stranger's group to a certain land is similar, in its design to, more native cultures and gods and lore and such. But the whole thing is, if you do not have a direct connection, then at the very best, you could design a direct experience. But when you design that direct experience, understand that you are the first link in the chain. If you're trying to connect to links that happened long ago, that's your ancestry. You can't just decide to be connected to somebody in history. You either are or you aren't, right? And I think the biggest thing is to add a sort of master's mindset to this. It's, I would say the thing that should be condemned is not that they're joining my people's history, or they're like, no, it's the criticism should be that they're rejecting their own, right? Because if you have a people that want to identify, or you have an individual that wants to identify with the people he's not connected to, well, isn't that exactly what a fucking slave is, right? I mean, isn't that exactly what we say the slave's mindset, the slave's morality is? And I think that's the major criticism, So, all right, let's bring up another question. When I bring these up, Pat, can you see them or no?
That one, yeah.
All right, read that for me, please.
As my grandfather said, after coming here from Italy, I came here to become an American. If I wanted to be an Italian American, I would have stayed in frickin' Italy. It's a good one. I was going to do an Italian accent, but I was like, nah, I'm not.
Perfectly stated, because that's exactly what it is. There's nothing wrong with obviously honoring your heritage. There's nothing wrong with understanding that the story began long ago and was being written by people who have been long gone. There's nothing wrong with that. If anything, it's empowering because you start to understand who you are, right? And think in terms of a computer. If you were designed with a certain processor and a certain, hard drive and a certain, the individual components, you can tell that's the extent of my understanding of what goes in a computer, right? But the individual components, as you start, upgrading the computer, as you start adding different software, as you start evolving the computer's ability to perform, to compute, if you will, it's helpful to understand how it was designed originally. It's helpful to understand why it has certain things over other things. What's the difference between, a computer that's just used for a mom, checking her email once a day, as opposed to a graphic artist, as opposed to a gamer? Like, how are these different computers designed differently? And when we understand what that design is, it allows us to better utilize the computer, right? So it's really, when we think about our ancestry, there is a very, very parallel observation to be made in how our history designs who we are as individuals. And obviously science is starting to explain more and more about the extent to which that is reality. But, I don't think it's really a surprise for anybody that pays attention to these types of things that there obviously is a connection in who we are and how it's based on who our ancestors were before us, So I agree.
Yep.
All right. So, are there any other questions that I missed so far?
No, just people saying transabled is what it is. Transabled, wanting to be handicapped. Awesome.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. All right, I'm going to do something right now that this is called authentic manipulation. The more you guys press the like and the heart and any other symbol that's there, I can't tell which ones they are, the better this shows up to the people that are on the MC page. So everybody who's watching, do me a favor and press those buttons.
There's a like, there's a laughing one, there's like an oh shit face.
Is there
one and an angry face?
What's that? What's the oh shit face called?
I don't know. Like you're shocked, I guess.
Like
like that.
We call that the Bhutan smiley.
That's funny.
Yeah. All right, it's awesome. You guys are
going great. Nuts. Yeah, people are going.
I tell you, because I've taken a lot of different courses on, over these last couple of years on how to best present your live shows, and they're always saying you got to ask for those. You got to ask for those thumbs up. You got to find a way to ask for those hearts. You got to ask for those, different emojis because it shows participation. But I can't bring myself to say, guys, if you like what I'm saying, give me a heart. I can't do that. So I'm just going to say, look, it helps the actual show in the algorithm of Facebook if you guys press these buttons.
It's pretty funny.
I choose authenticity.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. So, okay. So let's go to, I have another question. And if you guys have any questions while I'm going over this one, feel free to write it down. Pat, do you have the ability to scroll through?
Scroll through the questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through your phone, right?
Yeah.
All right. So just take note if there's any questions that I'm missing.
Okay. I'm on it.
But I have another question. This is from AP. AP. Those are his initials. And whenever there's something that I think that may be embarrassing, maybe not in the question, but my answer to the question, I'm just going to opt for the initials, right? So I don't get the guy ostracized from his community. But he says, "Hail MC," which is a little off-putting because when you hear the question, it's like, wait a minute, you heathen. We're supposed to have this shit squared away. But he says, "I know how busy you are, but, blah, 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 blah." She's asking a question. All right. "My wife and son don't get along at all. She's his stepmom, and he's 14 and has zero interest in getting along with her. Okay. She loses patience, but tries much more than he does. I have full custody, so it's all day, every day that they're at each other's throats. What's your take?" All right. This is the Johnny Fontaine scene in The Godfather, where he sits up and goes, "Why don't you be a man?" So what AP is saying, and, praise, correct, praise, right? So thanks for the question, AP. And now let's get into the actual correction. You have a 14-year-old son, okay? He is a fucking child. Even if you're Jewish and he's had his bar mitzvah, I don't care. He's still a fucking child. He is living in your house. You are paying his bills. You are feeding him. Obviously, you say you have full custody. So you're the one that's footing the bill for this whole fucking thing. He will shut the fuck up and respect your wife because it is your home. That is your wife. You are being dishonorable to your wife by not sorting this shit out with your son. And you're also creating a precedent in your son that your authority means fuck all. He's 14 years old, right? So it's not only about him respecting who you are and respecting who your wife is, but you're also preparing him to become a man that has all this shit squared away by the time he's an adult and on his own, right? So at 14, obviously I am fortunate to not be in any situation similar to this at all. But putting myself in your shoes for a second, that 14-year-old is going to have some fucking learning to do. Now he's going to understand that there's a purpose to the restrictions and the authority that you're going to impose upon him. He's always going to understand what the mission is. Very rarely, if at all, have I ever said to one of my sons, because I said so, like, do this. Well, why? Because I said so. If there's a time thing, then that's got to be squared away. But after the fact, I'll always explain why it is that I want them to be a certain way to do a certain thing. Like, I don't understand how a man doesn't discipline his 14-year-old who sounds like he's being disrespectful to his wife. You understand she will fucking leave you, right? Like, she's not connected to this. Now, it doesn't mention that you have any other kids with her or anything, so I don't know what that situation is. But at a certain point, you do realize that the juice just ain't worth the squeeze. She's going to be like, fuck this guy, because she's not experiencing the benefits of a positive relationship with you. She gets the whole fucking package, phrasing. And the fucking 14-year-old is included in that, and that's not what she fucking signed up for, So I think you need to sit down and figure out exactly what the fuck your mission is, because if it's to have a productive 14-year-old son, who, by the way, you are on the hook for, because that is your son. You are the man that is responsible for turning him into a man. If part of your mission is abiding by that obligation, but also producing a relationship with your wife that is also productive, that has any longevity, you have to square your shit. You're the fucking captain of this ship, and it sounds like you're fucking running it into every goddamn iceberg you see. A 14-year-old has no authority in the home. He has an opinion when it's requested. He certainly has an identity that he could abide by. But if you referred to one of the things I went over earlier, he could be who he wants to be so long as he remains at a functional level within the tribe. Like, yeah, you want to be one of those fucking weirdos with the black fucking finger paint. What are those guys?
Gothic.
I know you know who they are. Well, what's the thing you are? Straight edge with the X?
I'm me. I am Straight me. X?
Right. So, if you want to be one of those fucking guys, oh, that's fine. Like, you could do that. Do whatever you want to do. But the fucking garbage better be thrown out. You better have your fucking chores done. And you better fucking say good morning to your stepmother, or I'm going to fucking throw you through a goddamn wall. Like, that's just the way it fucking works.
Yeah, 100%. That's how it has
to. You know what? And to deal with some operant conditioning for a second, positive reinforcement, doesn't hurt either. When he's doing something that's positive, it needs to have some energy invested into it. It needs to be acknowledged. He needs to understand what's the right way, what's the right direction to go. Because he may not get that. He may just be thinking, you're not my mom, you're not my mom, and defining your wife as who she isn't, but you've never done the work necessary to actually let him know who she is and what she represents. So he may just be running all this shit through a 14-year-old fucking processor, and it's just not up to the task, and that's where I think, your obligation comes into play, So,
yeah, and it's on him.
Right. And I appreciate the question, and understand, that's about as real an answer as you're going to get.
100%.
All right. So what else is going on?
I am a meat popsicle.
You're a meat. Is that what they called you?
That's from a movie.
What's that from?
Fifth Element. The cops come in, they're like, do you identify as human? You're negative. I am a meat popsicle.
Oh my God. All right. So we should have a code word for when I want everybody to press the thumbs ups and the hearts and all that.
Okay. What do you say?
I'll say algorithm.
That's algorithm.
All right, guys. Algorithm time. Everybody press the buttons to beat Facebook.
To beat it. We are defeating Facebook.
Awesome. You guys are awesome. Everybody's doing it. Remember, the more you press that, the more we win. Just think of it in terms of that.
I agree.
All right, so now
it's a good movie.
What's that?
That Fifth Element's a good movie.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a good movie.
And meat popsicle, what it means is someone that was in cryo freeze for an extended period of time.
Oh yeah, is that from the movie too?
Yeah.
Or are you just making that up?
No, that's what it is. That's what it means. Meat popsicle means someone that was in cryo freeze for a really long time.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, the Augustus talk was awesome.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. There was a question that, yeah. Okay, I got to find it. Okay. Let me put this here.
Yep.
All right, Pat, you're reading that one.
Okay. Another one about child rearing. My daughter is very well behaved around myself and my father. She follows instructions, accepts punishments, and waits for rewards for good behavior. But recently, we've been told that at school, around her grandma, she's been having fits of self-abuse. How do you make sure the behavior your child shows around you sticks when you're not around?
So, I don't know what fits of self-abuse means. You know what I mean? Like, does that mean she's
hitting herself?
Hitting herself, or,
how old is she?
Right. If the age would matter too.
Cut themselves and do stuff like that, but generally not when they're really young. It's usually an older thing.
Right. So, having a child that is acting one way in front of you and another way when you're not around, first and foremost, they need to understand that there is
she punches herself.
Okay.
Interesting. Where? Like in the face?
She's 5. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. She needs to understand that there's a transparency, in who's surrounding her. Meaning, one of the things that you'll hear, when parents are being coached on how to more productively parent their child, you'll hear people talk about a united front, right? Being on the same page so that the child hears basically one narrative in how they're to be led down a certain path of development. Well, it's very much that, meaning the things that people see and things that people experience when dealing with her, she needs to understand that everybody knows that that's happening, that there aren't any shadows that she could sort of hide this type of behavior in. She needs to understand that, what she does in front of grandma, daddy knows. And she needs to understand why that is. She needs to understand that that's part of making her safe. Again, positive reinforcement, letting her know where the right direction is important. But it's also, I would say, and this is, I'm not saying is your situation. You need to understand that, or people in your situation need to understand that this is where things, really become emotional for a lot of parents. Let me just give her whatever she wants so she stops. And that reinforces the behavior, So I know that if I'm a 5-year-old and I break a dish, and I do it all the time, I know if you give me ice cream, I stop doing it. Well, all I got to do is break a dish. I got ice cream.
Yeah, pretty much.
Off the top of my head, just an example. So the thing is, you have to understand who's being the feeder here. Is it her or is it you? And I'd say the first thing is to eliminate the shadows. Eliminate her, or the possibility of her thinking that she could act a certain way in front of some people and there's no accountability and there's no acknowledgement of this or knowledge of this, with the people that she acts positively with. So it could be sit downs with the grandma where the grandma explains all of this and, you all get it out there. But also, I think it's important to understand, I think a lot of times we're too eager. I talk about this in the Strong Dad, Strong Son program. We're too eager to punish behavior, but we haven't yet really equipped them with an understanding of what the right behavior is. So whereas I do think this would certainly be a mechanism by which, your child has a consequence for an action. I also would ask, well, what consequence do they have for a positive action? When they do something bad, they hear about it. Well, when they do something good, do they hear about it? Because if they want attention and they're only getting attention when they're doing things that are negative, then, well, what exactly do you expect them to do? Kids don't want to be alone, right? So I think there's a couple things that you could address, a couple things that you could try. But I don't think that I don't think there's anything wrong with your daughter. I think she's 5 and she's sorting shit out. She's sorting shit out. If I'm assuming she's not on the spectrum, I'm assuming she doesn't have any, great trauma that, that I don't know about, or something that's, unaddressed, at this point. But
you said she's 5 and tests highly, social, like nothing like that. You've commented on that already.
Yeah. So, he, I mean, it's an anomaly, if she tests high and she's social and everything. Her punching herself is certainly an anomaly. So you have to figure out what exactly she's trying to get accomplished by that. And it's got to be a positive thing. It's got to be something that, you entice the 5-year-old to talk about. And positive reinforcement is something that I use all the time. Now, my kids, don't get it wrong, and you guys have been following, if you've been following my information at all, that, I run a tight ship with my sons. But, my sons hug and kiss me goodnight every night. High fives, we're laughing. My sons tell me jokes. My sons have the ability to disagree with me on certain opinions and positions when we're having discussions. Like, I make sure there's that other side of it. It's not only like Daddy comes in, and I'm not saying this is you at all, Rory. But I'm not the guy that Daddy comes in when it's time to to spank somebody, or it's time to get the deep voice, and the big figure in front of the child. Like, it's not it. You got to be there for both sides of the equation. All right. Okay. All right. Matt Johnson says, if your dog chews up your boot, you don't give it a treat, yet discipline it and make it understand what the dog did wrong, not to do it again. I don't understand what that means, Matt. I don't understand. Big Cliff, he says, not going to lie, I'm seeing Pat is one of the best tribe troubleshooting talks you've had in a while. Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm glad we decided to have it today. All right, so what else is going on?
On shot first.
I just saw my man Brian Wilton in the house. You did good last night with Augustus, outstanding. I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it. I had a very good time having that talk. All right, yeah. Last night with Augustus, it was one of those talks where, it's good sometimes when I'm not hosting the show and I get to just sit there and just fucking freestyle, go off the head. But
that's some good analogies.
Yeah, it wound up being productive, I think. But you guys make sure you watch it, and also it gives him some support too on his podcast. The more views and listens he gets and stuff, so check that out. All right, so what else is going on? You know what I can go over?
What?
A couple of. All right, so we got a couple of. These are the power programs I'm currently working on for the members site. Obviously, Reactionary Gap. I have one, To the Pain.
Awesome.
Be pretty good.
Yep.
Starting Strong. Camping 101.
Awesome.
And Forging the Blade. The Blade. What does that mean? You will have to wait to see and find out. But we have a pretty cool lineup of power programs set right now. So I'm pretty excited about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right.
Coming soon. Phrasing.
All right. Matt says, it means when a dog or your kid does wrong, you need to teach it not to do the wrong thing again instead of bribing the animal child to not do it. That reinforces the bad behavior. Right. Exactly right. Exactly right. With punishment and reinforcement, it's the easy way to think of operant conditioning. If you're punishing something, you're trying to eliminate a behavior. If you are reinforcing something, you're trying to promote a behavior. And positive or negative just really refers to, are you adding something or are you taking something away? So negative reinforcement is not insulting somebody. Negative reinforcement is, listen, you get all straight A's. I'm going to pay for your car insurance for the next 6 months. I'm removing the obligation for you to have to pay for your car insurance as a reward for you getting straight A's. So the terminology is, if you're going to use the terminology, it's important that you sort of sort that out and get it right. But conceptually, you could refrain from using the terminology and describe it. And I think a lot of people are on board with what that means.
Yeah, a lot of people get that confused, the negative reinforcement. They think it means bad, bad reinforcement.
Right. Negative just means taking something away.
Take something away.
Just think addition and subtraction. That's what positive and negative are in that context.
Yep.
All right. So what else is going on? I don't know. What topics have been going on that lately? Didn't Trump just fire somebody?
Yeah, he did. He fired Comey.
He fired that fucking cocksucker. You know, one of the things that I don't understand is how Facebook has become this like super fucking liberal news outlet. You know, if you pay attention to what's the call on the right side of the margin?
Trending topics.
Trending topics. I'm gonna open it up right here. Trending topics. Yeah. So I'm gonna go to the politics one right now.
Okay.
All right. So
5-year-old becomes drag queen. Number 1.
Right. So trending under the politics section. Okay. Trump to meet with Russian foreign minister. Jimmy Kimmel says Donald Trump fired him for making him president. Trump fires Comey. Mike Pence says the decision to fire Comey not connected to the Russian probe. Trump's sacking of Comey is a test for Republicans. Like, these are the things that are on the trending section. Like, it is full-blown just fucking libtard 101 with the things that are there. And it's funny because I remember a few months back, I shared a screenshot. And I was like, this is what is on Facebook right now for trending topics. And I don't know what had just occurred. I don't know if it was Trump winning the primary or there was something going on that was significant in the news. And on trending topics on Facebook, there was none of that there. They were all liberal talking points and it was all supporting the Hillary thing, and, that's that just fucking, that disdain for modern society that I have, that just, you have to constantly remind yourself that the only people you could trust are the people that at some point, in your life, you share an actual energy with. Like you have to trust the people that are around you, that are connected to your daily, rituals, that are connected to your tribe's legacy, because the whole, virtual friend type of thing, it's like, it's fucking nonsense. And I think a lot of people are being raised without that real world sort of alliance. And they don't understand the difference. They think that, their Facebook friend or their buddy that they play Xbox with, every day at the same time, that's in their, their group. What do they call those not Facebook, but those video game groups? What are they called? Guild, you fucking nerd.
Call it a guild.
Well, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying. They think that these are real connections. They think that these things actually, are what society's built on, those types of, and it couldn't be further from the truth. And, it's so easy to manipulate these newer generations. I think we need only look at, the prevalence of this fucking liberal mindset in so many of the millennials. They don't understand what real work is. They don't understand what real connections are. They don't understand what a real friend is, what a real tribe is. Like, they're just completely fucking disconnected from it. Squads, yes. Or clans. Mike Washington. My man, Big Mike.
I don't know.
Clans,
I've always been in guilds, so I don't know.
You guild fucking World of Warcraft nerd.
The guild.
But yeah, clans. I will say I'm always getting requested to join Call of Duty clans, and I always reject them. So I'm like, fuck this guy. Who's this guy?
Who the fuck is this guy?
Who the fuck is this guy? I'm on Call of Duty. My Xbox name is Master Chim 47. So if any of you guys play Call of Duty, but I'm not playing the latest one. What's the was it Advanced Warfare?
Infinite Warfare.
Infinite Warfare.
Yeah.
I'm not fucking. I started playing. I bought it. I started playing. I played it for a week. I fucking took the thing out, threw it across my office. What's the other one I play?
You play Black Ops 3.
Black Ops 3, right? So I still play that all the time. So if you guys play Black Ops 3, Master Chim 47, I'm there. I don't know how to do anything. Now, I'm like a level 200 and something, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know how to do the friend requests. I don't know how to do the clans. I don't know how to do half the shit that's going on. I got guns that I still haven't unlocked. I still have an unlocked gun. I have no idea how to do it. So I use like the same gun and I just do what I do.
Function first. You use what works.
Yeah, absolutely. Heather, great point. The next generation will never know privacy. Totally different world they will have. You know, it's funny.
Sounds like Yoda, she said.
Hey, girl, Ricardo remembers that. That's what I'm talking shit on Call of Duty. You know, hey, girl, as soon as I shoot them. Just keep repeating that. It fucking drives him crazy.
That's fine.
But Heather says, you know, they'll never know privacy. You remember when the whole thing came out with Mike Brown and Trayvon Martin?
Sure.
Mike Brown more because it was with a cop. You know, cops should have the cams, the chest cams. What are they called?
Body cam.
Body cams. Am I forgetting the English language today? I have no fucking idea. You know what it is? I have these fucking lights on me, and now I know like what fucking lab animals feel like. I'm forgetting
now. He's getting a doctorate, right? Honorary doctorate or some shit. You heard about that?
But it's from Dr. J, so it doesn't.
National treasures. They're national treasures. Listen, we've lost 2 national treasures.
So the thing is, with those body cams, one of the things that I said from the beginning was, you know, what's going to wind up happening is you guys are going to be appeased, right? And the cops are going to be given these body cams. Then you're going to see videos, and the people that understand what cops go through are going to look at the videos, and when somebody gets shot, they're going to go, yep, that was a good shoot. You people are going to see the video and still not fucking understand why it's a good shoot, still not understand why the cop isn't being prosecuted. But now what you've done is you've managed to give the government the permission to have even more data collecting information or capabilities, because now the precedent has already been set whereby people are being prosecuted for things that were picked up on body cams that have nothing to do with the original charges that they were facing.
Yep.
You know, it's like, you
Congratulations.
Idiots.
Congratulations, you did it.
More surveillance is never better, you know, and but the sentiment was put out there and supported by all these fucking liberal idiots who think like there's like a bunch of ninja cops at night going around just shooting black kids, you know, putting fucking notches on their fucking stocks on their rifles. It's fucking retarded.
There was a good episode of that show Black Mirror, where everything you saw with your eyes got uploaded and recorded. So basically your eyes are
good.
Yeah, it's not good at all. So so you can go back and watch things, you can go back and see things and kind of experience things again, and it records everything. And it was a really good episode. It wasn't so much about invasion of privacy, it was more about the dude found out his wife was fucking somebody else. But it was legit. Like that show's good. That's just a really good episode.
Yeah, I gotta give it another shot. Maybe watch individual things.
That's what it is.
All right. So Carl Klein says, body cams. So now that they are much more prevalent, what does it show? LEOs are doing the job correctly, mostly made up complaints, vast majority good use of force. I agree. And Ricardo says now all those fucks are complaining that the body cams are an invasion of privacy because they're making too many convictions. Well, this is exactly what I fucking said before it. This whole when the Mike Brown nonsense was going around, I was saying the same exact thing when it came to body cams. Be careful what you wish for, you fucking idiots. There is enough information to completely understand that hands up, don't shoot didn't happen, that Mike Brown was a piece of shit, which just illustrates his character, that it was possible that the narrative that the police that what's his name? Daryl something. Yep. Darren Wilson. That's whatever the cop was. Yeah. That what he said was not only possible but probable. Like there was enough information to completely understand and conclude what transpired that day. Now, when you start having this body cam thing, the fact that these people can be led emotionally so easily in directions that sabotage their own missions, you know, it just shows how fucking stupid people are. and what the basic understanding of liberty is, right? And your ability to be who you are, your ability to pursue your own fucking aspirations, whatever. As an American, like one of the biggest things about that is fucking privacy. It's leave me the fuck alone. Don't fucking don't record me on my property. Don't don't fucking go into my computer. There are certain things that we expect as Americans by way of privacy that the concept of a body cam goes completely against. Like the red light cameras. Right?
Yeah.
I got banged for a fucking ticket 2 or 3 times already, right by the school on Castle Hill Avenue. Because, 25 miles an hour, right? School zone.
Sure.
There's times where I got a ticket, I was going 31 miles an hour. I got a fucking ticket. It's like $55 or some shit like that. It's a revenue generator. The whole thing is, when you look at why there are laws, right? Why were laws created? It's to reinforce the culture, right? It's to reinforce the social contracts of the members of a society. Okay, you can't murder people, right? But rather than when somebody's murdered, everybody having to go and sort the fucking murderer out, yeah, we develop a proxy, the police, and we give basically a rule book, right? So that the police or that proxy, whatever it happens to be, can reinforce all those things that we agreed upon as being productive.
Yep.
It's long ago morphed into this completely separate entity. And that's what when people are arguing, obviously, against big government versus small government, like that's the entire fucking debate right there. It's, is the government here to reinforce what we want to be done, or is the government here to tell us what to do? Like we're supposed to be telling them, how we want to live, not the other way around. And if you're talking about body cams, there's no way you could argue that body cams fucking give us more freedom, more liberty.
Evidence collector.
Yeah, it's all it is. People say, oh, well, I wanted to be safe. It increases safety. Well, it also makes everybody safe? Locking them up in a room individually without coming into contact with anybody else. So to draw an extreme really quickly. So obviously being safe isn't always what it's about. It's about being free. And that is an entirely different situation or argument than, making it safe. All right?
100%.
These motherfuckers.
Safe.
Right.
I want to live forever.
Right. Ricardo says police got rid of the posse. Right. Because in lieu of having a third-party proxy, you needed to just gather the boys together and handle that shit. All right. All right. Carl says, in my opinion, all body cam videos should go directly onto YouTube with that person's name and location to hold people accountable, he said.
And they have the dashboard cameras, too, for private citizens. A lot of people have that for their cars.
Another ancillary topic, too, is what Lockie's saying here. Not to mention that all the new hard drives, cameras, equipment, and personnel are going to require, raise taxes to pay for it all. Well, yeah, I mean, that is, listen, me and the IRS are not on speaking terms. Right? They are not on the Yule card list. I'll tell you that much. And when, you have skin in the game, right, and you are actually paying taxes and you are actually, having to factor in what taxes do to your fucking budget, every year, every fiscal year, there is a certain pain that you feel that people who are just, eating off the fucking teat of the government never experience. And, as it stands now, if you're somebody who just, collects welfare and doesn't produce anything and doesn't employ anybody and doesn't generate any revenue or business, for the country, you have the same vote that business owners have. You have the same vote that landowners have. People that actually have fucking skin in the game, you have the same opinion. And, to me, I've been saying it for a long time, that shit needs to be weighted. All right? If you aren't fucking producing anything, if you own a business, your opinion should matter more. If you own land, your opinion should matter more. Why? Because you got fucking skin in the game. That's exactly what the fucking the name of the game is.
100%.
Oh, but I digress. Angel says Snapchat, face recognition app collecting millions of faces in the guise of cute puppy faces. Oh yeah, absolutely. You know what? Another thing, like when that whole I think it was Snowden that was talking about the NSA and all the data collection and stuff. Like one of the things that I do is I use a TV as a computer monitor. I don't want any built-in cameras in my monitor, so I use a TV. I disconnect my webcam. It goes in a fucking box. Like my laptops are all closed. My phone, when I'm not using it, it's in one of my pockets or it's in a drawer. Like my paranoia is super high level when it comes to, government surveillance and such.
Piece of tape.
Right.
Piece of tape over the camera.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've done that too,
Yep.
Ricardo says cops used to have to testify from memory. They're also claiming it is unfair for officers to look at the footage.
That's funny. Very unfair.
And that's the fucking just how ludicrous this whole thing is. Like it'll never happen, but let the cops take a fucking week off. And you'll find the communities that complain about the most are the ones that are going to suffer the most in their absence. And 100%. I don't want to go down the fucking, I get in trouble when I start talking about certain groups over other groups.
Yeah, sometimes.
But you understand.
Everyone understands.
Read this one, Pat.
Okay. There's a video of a 19-year-old Dindu who talked shite and threw hands with a cop that beat the fuck out of him. It was recorded on his body cam. Great lesson of respect. Unfortunately, the officer was charged with assault.
And that's exactly what's going to happen. So you have the people acting like a bunch of cunts. I'll tell you right now, there's been times where I've had cops, one cop almost broke my rib. I've told that story before.
Yep.
I've had cops slap me, mush me. Every one of those things I prefer than the time the cop put handcuffs on me and brought me to jail.
10 times out of 10.
I mean, it's a slippery slope, and there are things that I think can be done to ensure not only an accountability but an integrity in who is policing these neighborhoods. I'm certainly a proponent for the cops that are policing an area having some sort of connection to that area. I see a lot of suburban white boys, policing the projects in the Bronx. And that's just a fucking formula for conflict. They don't understand the people. The people understand that those people aren't from there. It's just like not a lot of positive decisions were being made, where that was concerned. But, when you talk about accountability and like these fucking rule followers, these people that are arguing, the crossed T's and the dotted I's and not paying attention to the spirit of what our experience is supposed to be, as citizens, be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for.
Yep, because you just may get it.
Yeah, I mean, how many times I remember when I got fucked up by that cop, when he told me to spread my legs and my hands were on the hoods and he wanted to pat me down and apparently I didn't do it enough and he punched me and I didn't even see it coming. So it made it even worse. And I said, spread your fucking feet. And I almost did the Van Damme split. Like I couldn't fucking bend probably for 2-3 weeks sideways because of that bruised rib that he gave me. At no point was I like, Mom, we got to go to the precinct and report this cop and start like, shut the fuck up. Get over it.
Not anymore. Now, some of them are instructed to find a way to create a situation to create a lawsuit. It's part of the script.
Right.
Part
and
of the script.
It's a winning formula.
Unfortunately, it is.
Formula. I remember I got sued by this cunt right, a couple of years ago. And this cunt, what he was suing me for was completely bullshit.
I was trying to figure out which one. I get it now. I'm on. Yeah. I know you're talking about now.
Complete bullshit. But the thing is, the cunt knew that if he sued me, I would have my insurance cover it. And he knew the insurance had an amount of money where it would just pay a settlement rather than invest in a trial.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't pay attention to this shit. If I have a problem with you, I'm not going to fucking sue you. I'm not going to call the police. Mr. Police, this guy's bothered. Like, no, I'm not going to fucking do that. But this cunt did. Why? Because it's a winning cunt formula. And the guy's a fucking cunt. And he made a whole bunch of cunt money being a cunt. Why? Because we have a society that supports that. Right?
100%. Yeah, they know the insurance company's going to pay, and that's it.
Yep. So Frank says, what about the advantage of eliminating hearsay? Well, with anything, I would say, it's productive to weigh the pros and the cons. But what you wind up addressing is the pros of the cons, right? You wind up really accommodating these fucking criminals who want all this information out there. And at no point does it mean more freedom. And that's my my mission where this is concerned. Yeah. It's the question I ask is, does this make us more free? And very rarely does adding a law, increase freedom at the same time. Removing laws increases freedom. And does it, when you have that camera, does it eliminate hearsay? Absolutely. It absolutely does. But at what price? And that's the real question that I would ask, So Call says, I've got a car DVR for my personal car. Is totally worth it. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You need the video, you got it to use. But that shit can be deleted very easily.
It's yours.
It's yours, right? It's 100%. Yours. Absolutely.
Car cams are good.
Yep. Ricardo says the deepest cut I ever got was from the IRS. All right, Mike Davis. He says, friend of mine has a dash cam. It saved him legally before when someone tried to walk in front of his vehicle and said he tried to run him over. In terms of government having more surveillance, they'll know. Absolutely. 100%. And again, this is, the people versus the government. Did you ever see those videos with the people in China running into the cars? Yeah. Oh, my God. We can't bring up videos on this software anymore. There's one of the prices we've had to pay, but holy shit. Just incredible. Incredible. And they're like walking up to the cars. Yeah. The cars are like stopped.
Like a couple of missed. You saw the one where the guy missed? Like he goes to jump in the car and then he falls in front of it because he completely missed.
And I think in Russia, it might actually be the law that you have to have a car cam, like a dash cam.
Some European countries, yeah, I've seen that. Like that's the thing. Car cams, like standard.
I think you went in and out right there.
Okay,
but you're back. All right, so
interesting.
Let's see what else we got here. Lockie says, even the Zuck tapes over all his cameras and microphones on his laptop, and he's the one collecting the data. I believe it. I believe it. All right. Read that one, Pat.
A lot of people can't approach situations with a level of logical thought process, afraid to get even a verbal altercation.
Yeah, and that's and I don't know if there was any other comments that led up to that one, but where that's concerned, I agree, and that's why I always talk about childhood being so important. I remember I made a meme. I don't know if you remember it, Pat. It was like a lion cub perched up on top of a carcass, and it said, "Childhood used to prepare you for the life that was awaiting you," something to that effect. And the thing about childhood is that it allows you, it's designed for you to experience consequences, but at a child's intensity. And these consequences change, alter, evolve your behaviors so that when you do become older and those consequences become more dire, you have the ability, the mechanisms by which you can navigate them successfully. And in today's society, getting into what Angel says here, you are so removed from dealing with people and dealing with people without the need of a third party, right? And dealing with people directly and not through a proxy. The repetitions aren't had, the math isn't done, and people are not developing those skills anymore. So you find an inability for people to deal civilly, with their neighbors and their fellow citizens here, when it comes to arguing and just like saying afraid to get into a verbal altercation, I'd say one of the benefits of almost having a school in the hood is, I never had to expect a lawsuit when I had to knock somebody out in front of the school for acting like an asshole.
Yeah.
And every single time I thought I was justified in my action. Might be a little biased, but but the whole thing is there are plenty of situations or plenty of environments where if I were to have that same type of interaction with somebody, I wind up getting sued.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10.
And I think any man worth his salt at one point has looked at another man and said, that motherfucker's never been punched in the face, right? Because if you've never been punched in the face, I think productive, functional men look at that as a negative, as a bad thing, right? Because when you've been punched in the face, you understand that getting punched in the face exists, and it tends to curb the type of behavior, that you expose to all of us.
Civilized men are more discourteous than savages.
It's true.
Yep.
Ricardo said in China, they run you over twice to make sure you're dead.
And then they eat your body.
Right.
A lot of fun.
With rice.
With rice.
All right. All right, algorithm time.
That's awesome.
I think Ricardo called for an algorithm.
That's good.
So those of you that are watching now that weren't watching before, whenever I say algorithm, you got to press all those things because it helps us. It helps other people on the Master Chim page see the show. I love that I say it, and there's a million fucking things. You guys are awesome.
Yeah,
you guys are awesome. All right, so what other questions do we have? I'm missing some stuff here.
Didn't see any questions. Yeah, no questions. The hearsay question, that's it.
All right, so Pressure Con.
Yeah.
Go over that, Pat.
All right, Pressure Con, July 21st, arrival date, and then the meet happens on July 22nd, 23rd. So if you're a member, go onto the events page, fill out the form. If you've already been to Pressure Con, link for you to register because you're a legacy for Pressure Con. If you're new, sign the form up. You'll answer some questions and then register for the event. It's taking place in an undisclosed location in the mountains. But if you remember, you'll have the details of where it is. He said, who's put the cry emoji? That's funny. But yeah, so PressureCon's going to be awesome. Prices are going up June 1st. So get registered now. June 1st, prices are going up for both. So make it happen. And it's going to be awesome. There's going to be a lot of powerful events. If you're curious about what the format is and you're a member, obviously go onto the PressureCon tab for the power programs, and you'll get, there's like eight or nine videos there. 8 videos. It's over 6 hours of footage showing what we do at PressureCon. It's awesome. A lot of powerful talks. A lot of good shit. So PressureCon's going to be awesome. July 21st, 22nd, 23rd.
Right. We have so far, obviously I'm going to be there. We have Tuan, Tom Kyer, who's going to be there. We have Guru Matt Campbell, who's going to be there.
Doing some movement.
Presenting. What's that?
Doing some movement.
Yeah, doing something, which, he's the best.
Yeah.
But it's going to be awesome. Also, and I'm announcing this for the first time, I just spoke to Augustus. Augustus is going to be there again.
Awesome.
And he's going to give a talk as only Augustus can. And I'm pretty excited about that. I'm glad he was able to fit it into his schedule because he's been busy lately. He's not running for Senate anymore. I think he's running for I don't know, fucking world leader or something. But he is definitely going to be there, and we squared that away last night. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, the page is on the member site events.
Yeah, so if you're a member, now remember you got to be a member in order to come to PressureCon. But if you are a member, it is on the events tab. Just hit that. Right. And also, I mean, you members that are on here, and I see a bunch of you. I hope you guys are enjoying the new layout of the site because Pat busted his ass making that happen. And if you guys could see a recording of a meeting with Pat and I deciding what needs to happen. He's laughing because it's basically me saying I want things and threatening him and him going, okay, and me throwing tantrums on why it doesn't work like this instead of that. But Pat fucking the site right now just looks incredible. Looks absolutely incredible. I had one of my business mentors look over the site the other day, and he was one of the guys that originally gave me some feedback on some things that I could do. Basically, in so many words, he said it looked like somebody just took a shit on a computer screen. But I had him look at it after we made all these changes, and he was pretty impressed. So the site is, so just giving Pat some credit, some public credit there for getting it done. Good job, Pat.
Which is awkward as fuck.
I ran out of good job cards, right?
Next time, I guess. Next time.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm looking through the feed right now, and I'm always trying to see if the comments that appear on the app here or on the program that we're using are all of the ones that we have here.
Yeah, I rarely see ones missed.
Yeah, all right.
So they pop up.
All right. So, okay. So let's answer some questions.
Okay.
What do we got? Big James Holland. He says, like the skinny white kids playing pranks in the hood, they can't comprehend what's going to go on when they get punched in the face or fucking murdered. Because
or killed.
I'll tell you right now, in my old neighborhood, if we had some kids that you kind of knew didn't belong there, and they were fucking with people, like they would get fucking stomped. They would get stomped. And I'm surprised these kids, something serious hasn't happened. So, it's funny, but I actually think it's a sort of self-correcting loop because I think that those videos have been so popular that it might affect the people in those neighborhoods. When they see a white kid in their neighborhood acting like a retard, a lot of them, I'm sure, are looking for cameras and going, is this like a thing? Like you ever listen to those radio pranks? Like they prank people on the phone? Some of them are fucking hysterical.
The John Cena one is the best one of all time.
That was great. But there's a certain point where the person who's being pranked is losing their shit. And then whoever's doing the prank, the third party who's doing the prank, says, oh, I'm so-and-so from this show. And the person, like, because I was listening to one the other day, and it's like a radio show in New York, and they do this thing. I don't know if it's Z100 or something. And they do this phone tap prank. And so you have like a young lady who is pranking her mother.
Okay.
And the mother doesn't listen to Z100. The mother doesn't know who the fucking guy is. But when she's losing her shit and the guy says, oh, I'm so-and-so from Z100, and you're being phoned, the mother immediately changes her demeanor. because she understands that it's a prank call. So she may not know who the fuck the guy is, but okay, this is my daughter playing a prank on me. Because people know what pranks are. And I'm sure there's a lot of those skinny fucking white kids that had their lives saved because the people understood that this is like a thing now, doing the pranks in neighborhoods where, usually they get the shit beaten out of them, Gilbert asks, I didn't read this. This is a bit off, but here in Cali, they are building houses, apartments in every lot, only here with no parking everywhere, just here.
AJ said they're called projects.
Yeah. Gilbert, is Inglés your primero language? Because I didn't understand that. All right. Carl said, just paid for PressureCon. So come to PressureCon, you will meet Carl Klein.
That's right.
His real name. I probably won't say it's Carl Klein either. I'll let him remain anonymous.
Yeah, PressureCon's going to be awesome.
Cap says, what about the Andrew Dice Clay crank call? Anyone ever hear that or say that? Now, I always thought it was prank call, but apparently it's crank call.
I don't know. I always call it a prank call.
With a P, right?
Yeah, with a P.
But then they had that show. Remember Crank Yankers?
Yeah, sure.
But it was crank there.
Yep.
It doesn't make any fucking sense. Why would it be a crank call and not a prank call?
I don't know. I like prank call. I just call it prank calls.
Yeah, I mean, I don't fucking
call it. Remember the Jerky Boys?
Jerky Boys.
Frank Rizzo.
Yeah. So Matt says it's prank, and Frank says it's both. The Jerky Boys came out when I was in college, and there was a time where, like, I went to WestCon in Danbury, Connecticut, and we had this is like the cassette deck era, and we had just terrible copies because you'd have one guy that had the original, and everybody would be making copies of the copies.
Yep.
So we would be in our dorm rooms crying, laughing at these things. But the sound quality was always terrible because it was always like the 10th generation copy of an original. But yeah, those things are the things. So I have them, Saul Rosenberg.
That's the best. I fell
Remember
down
the Egyptian magician?
And then my shoes fell off.
All right, so this is an idea. Mike Davis says because you'd have to crank the rotary phones, all I could think of.
I guess so.
Maybe, right? I don't know.
Oh. MC did a prank call once.
Oh yeah, who did I call? The
on the fucking member site.
Called
the fucking abuse place that your wife is
domestic abuse line.
Yo, but she's big, my wife. I don't want to make her angry.
We should play that.
Oh, that's on the member site. That's for the members.
Oh man, fucking. Oh, every party has a pooper, I guess.
Listen, let them listen on the member site. It's too good to give away. We already gave it away, by the way.
Yeah, we played that before, right?
Yeah.
Originally, it was like a moment like this where I was like, "Yeah, we should play that." And we found it and played it. All right, what else is going on? I don't know. I'm going to go to my Facebook. Oh, shout out to my nephew. My nephew Damien, 18 years old today.
Awesome.
That little fuck. I remember when he was born anew. Now he's 18. Big kid, strong. Not a faggot, which is good.
Just throw that out there.
And by that, I didn't mean that he's not gay. I meant like
everybody knows. Everybody knows that already.
You can't say fag because then all the fags start acting like fags about it.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't mean that in terms of his sexuality. But he is also a slayer of vaginas. So
just throwing that out there. In case.
Ricardo looked it up on the internet. No verified origin used equally, but prank is preferred.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I say.
Yeah, prank.
All right. It's funny. We don't have the number anymore
Well, we can they can call on Facebook if they want.
Oh, yeah, right?
Yeah, remember that's what we squared away as far as call MC on Facebook, and he could play it.
Yeah, so if you call me on Messenger,
Yep,
I could put you on the show.
Yeah, Ricardo, do it.
Ricardo, do it.
Engage.
Oh, this is funny. This is my man Aaron Alejandro sent me a picture, and it's a cow taking a shit, and it says vegetarians, my food shits on your food.
That's funny.
All right. So yesterday, this is something to talk about. Yesterday, I went for a walk
in the woods,
a hike a little bit, in my on my land, and I got to tell you, man, it is, I forgot what it's like. Of course, Ricardo's calling right now. All right, let's see if this works. Hold on. Ricardo. All right, hold on. Pat, can you hear him?
You'll probably hold it up to the mic a little closer, then I will be able to.
Ricardo, say something.
This is some damn fine technology, sir.
Yeah, I can hear
him now?
Yeah.
So, Ricardo, how you doing, brother?
Outstanding, sir. Outstanding. Yeah, when you threw it up there and said, you can call me. Yeah, I had to try that shit.
Yeah, that's cool. You know what I'm going to do? Stand by. I'm going to see if I could. I'm going to try and put a speaker. I have a speaker.
Awesome. Speakers are good.
So is he low, Pat, right now?
Yeah, I would say medium.
Did I just hang up on him?
Probably. I have my sound's turned pretty low, but he sounds about medium.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I lost you. I discovered you cannot touch anything on that screen.
Okay. All right. So, Pat, can you hear him now?
Have him talk again.
Ricardo, say something.
Brother Pat?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, eat popsicle.
There we go.
All right, good. So what's going on, brother, man?
But acceptable.
Brother, nothing. I'm on my days off, of course. This coincides so nicely with the time that I'm not slaving for the man. So
that's good. That's good. Very good. I'm liking the Facebook Messenger thing. I think we got to find a way to maximize what this is. This program that I use, this Be Live thing, it's free for now, and I've been waiting forever for them to come out with a paid version.
Give them money.
I'm dying to give them money so I could just make shit, work a little bit more efficiently. But this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool.
It's real stable. That's the thing that I've noticed about it. Much more than that fucking Blog Talk Radio, which is, that British bitch she can't keep that thing going. But
yeah, it's fucked up.
Much more stable.
Yeah, Pat, you got to cancel that. Did you cancel that?
Cancel what?
Blog Talk Radio?
I can. I didn't cancel it yet. That? No, I don't think so. I don't remember. Maybe. Oh, wait. Yeah, I think we do pay for that. I will cancel it.
Yeah, if I pay for that shit, cancel it because that shit was terrible.
It was good for the time.
Yeah, well, you know what? It gave us a phone number. And, the whole thing is if somebody's watching this live, it means they have Facebook. Right? So, they could Facebook Messenger me, and I don't have to give out my private number. And I'm not supposed to give out my Skype, right, Ricardo, you said?
Yeah, that's what he said.
I wouldn't, because normally your Skype's connected to your phone number, and depends on how hard you have your data locked down, but I would probably just stick with this. Skype makes me a little nervous. I don't trust it.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I don't use Skype a lot, so my understanding of it is very, very limited. I know I was just at a business thing the other day, and they were talking about using LinkedIn.
Yeah,
LinkedIn. And leveraging that for creating a network and stuff. And Like, I have a LinkedIn account. I have no idea how to fucking use it. I have all these people that I'm connected to. But there are a lot of things out there that, you know, if I didn't invest the time to learn, like, I have no fucking understanding of it. My Facebook game is tight.
I'm removing myself from the internet, and one of the major holes in your personal security is sites like LinkedIn. They pull a lot of data and sell it all over the place.
Great.
I'm scrubbing myself, you know, because I like to run silent, run deep when it comes to the internet as much as I can. But they distribute a lot of info, especially for guys that are in, you know, high risk occupations. It's not good.
Right. Yeah. Originally, I thought it was like just a platform to sort of put yourself out there, almost like obviously like a Facebook, but for jobs, you know, and more B2B type, you know, business to business type stuff. But people use it for fucking everything. Like, it's annoying. Like, I don't get any notification. Oh, you know what I just got? I got a private message from a guy that I wrestled with in high school, who now is some, like, I think he's an attorney at some fucking hedge fund or some shit like that. But, you know, like, that was the first thing probably since I've gotten LinkedIn that I was happy to see that came from LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You know, but for the most part, I can't stand it.
Yeah, I think a couple of large businesses, I'm not sure. I think all those sites like LinkedIn, Been Verified, Instant Checkmate, they're all owned at the root by whitepages.com. And it's just this huge information storehouse, which, you know, all things being equal, it's probably owned by the CIA or the NSA, you know, if you go back to the bottom of it. So
Right.
Probably owned by them anyway, so it really doesn't fucking matter. But in any case, yeah, they share that data. And I mean, they will give out data. They'll give out your birth date. They'll give out your every address you ever had, your phone numbers, your relatives. Yeah, I don't like it. Do not like it at all.
Yeah, no, I agree. Pat, you got a LinkedIn or no?
Yeah.
What do you use it for?
I don't. I used to use it. I had it back when I was like doing actual work aside from training and stuff. You know, it was more like that. It was networking for like if you want to get a job, but I don't use it. I never go on it anymore.
Right. Yeah, I'm not. There's so many different, you know, social medias out there. Like, you guys remember when there was fucking MySpace?
I
thought MySpace was awesome. But at the time, I really didn't, you know, I wasn't a social media guy when I was using MySpace. So it might have been like, you know, like the old guy, the first time he discovers like Google, he's like, oh, this is amazing. You know, that might have been me on MySpace. But, you know, at the time I loved it because you could personalize everything. But then, you know, like, this is why we can't have nice things. Everybody went fucking overboard and it just became a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, you open up those pages and everything's on fire.
Right.
Literally fire.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking annoying.
I remember when Facebook came out, it was just people biting you and turning you into a vampire and sending you eggs. I was like, what is this bullshit? Like, oh, here's an egg. I was like, I don't fucking want an egg. Like,
I fought the
It's like some 13-year-old saying, oh man, this page needs more flames. Let's add flame to it everywhere.
Yeah, I fought the Facebook thing for a long time. And eventually, you know, I just gave in. And one of the things I regret about, you know, Facebook becoming so popular is that, you know, all of the forums that I used to be a member of just fucking died, you know?
Yep.
Because everybody was on Facebook. You know, there's no need to be on a forum that doesn't have anywhere near the level of interaction that Facebook does, you know?
Yeah, brother. I resisted it for a long time. I was really a Luddite when it came to I had a dumb phone, you know, a non-smartphone. I think I was the last person that I knew to not have a smartphone.
Right.
Eventually, you know, the internet, the fact that you have, you know, a Star Trek communicator in your hand, the temptation was too great.
Right.
And, you know, like we just saw, I was like, I wanted to know where crank call came from. Well, let me computer.
Right.
tell me where crank call came from. Oh, look, there it is.
Yeah.
I can't. People do not realize. You know, I see all these folks. There is no way that anyone in the world who has a smartphone should be ignorant. about, at least they should at least have deep knowledge on a couple topics, because that just means they're not using any of the capabilities that thing has. None at all.
I talk about that a lot. And, when I'm yelling at some fucking 20-something or teenager, and I'm like, do you realize that you live in a time in the human race that you could fucking learn anything there is to know, like within seconds? Within seconds. I remember when I had the gold covered pages on my Encyclopedia Britannica, and I would look up, there was like the animals and science issue, and anything that I wanted to learn about animals and science had to be in that book, or I was not learning it because I didn't have access to any other information. And they were super expensive, and they had different volumes that came out. When the new volumes came out, like, you really wanted to get the new volumes. A lot of times, like, I think I was gifted a set by one of my aunts, and but after that, because they were fucking pricey, I'd have to go to fucking the library, right? Fucking microfiche, remember all that shit? Finding things. And,
yes, sir.
Like, holy fuck! Now, like, on my phone, I can learn anything. I can learn anything on my phone. It is. You still there, Ricardo?
Oh yeah, I'm still here, brother.
Yeah, I was about to do something on my phone, and I almost disconnected you. I was like, oh shit, he's on the phone. But I have an app on my phone that I could use to communicate with my mother-in-law. Did I show you that, Pat? The translator?
Yeah, I have it.
Yeah, you hold the button, you speak, and then you let the button go, and it says what you just said in whatever fucking language you want. Like, it's fucking amazing. Like, anybody could do this.
Is that the same one also you can point your camera at something and it translates?
This is, going back to when we were kids, and I'm sure a lot of the younger guys who are listening to this don't remember this. Remember the animal flashcards you used to mail away for every month? Like, you could get the lion 1 month.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yep, I do. And had the facts on the back of it or something, right?
Yes, sir. That was the most exciting shit ever when I was about 10.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I could go and look at, tell me something about Wolverines. Oh, look, here's every fact I ever wanted to fucking know about them. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Anybody who's ignorant with a cell phone is literally retarded. They're either willfully ignorant or they're retarded.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty annoying when you see the kids these days that just have no respect for knowledge, and they have a society and a lot of times a home structure that supports this sort of treading water, type of approach to living, where it's like, listen, just don't fuck anything up, and you're good. And there's no aspiration, and and a lot of it, I would say, because they're fished in an aquarium. They know a couple times a day the big hand's going to come in and sprinkle the fucking the food flakes on the top of the water, and there might be there might be a little scramble to get a flake, but they know if they miss this one, the guy will be back in a few hours doing the same thing, and that's the approach to to thriving these days that a lot of kids are exposed to. And just the information thing alone, like whenever I ask somebody something and they don't know it, and I follow up with them and they still don't know it, I lose my shit, because it's like, why are you so comfortable being a fucking idiot,
Well, I mean, it's one of the things that I truly admire about the way that you're raising your kids. You're turning them all into self-learners, and that's exactly what that problem is it's a lack of development of self-learners. They want to be given everything. They don't want to self-learn, and that's what makes people powerful and what makes people great at the root, I think, is that you're willing to go out and seek out, and you see something like, Drew on Tom, who's taught himself how to build a car and make knives, and I mean, all this shit that he can do, and that man is a jack of all trades when it comes to powerful, manly stuff. But a lot of it is self-taught, and that's because he wanted to learn it. He had the desire to learn it. It's part of the death of our civilization, honestly, that we're not raising a generation of self-learners.
Right. And, when you have the I think Ricardo just fell downstairs or something. No, you're here. Are you okay? Are you okay?
I'm all right. I'm here.
All right. So I was going to say that you have a bunch of kids today that they have no clarity of mission, right? And it gets back to, this sort of direction that they know they need to move toward and the pressure to move toward it. That doesn't exist. So when I say, like treading water, they don't know which way to go. They don't know where to swim. They just know, what? As long as I don't drown, I'm good. And, without that direction, then there's no way to actually motivate oneself to improve. And, I remember when I was younger, we would build tree houses. I remember breaking my forearm when I was 9 because we built a ramp for our, like the movie Rad came out. So
awesome.
So I was 9 years old swearing that I could build a ramp and do a backflip on concrete on Marion Avenue in the Bronx, like Rad did in the movie. And
bike dance off.
Right. And that shit didn't work out. But let me tell you, I could ride the fuck out of a bicycle. It cost me a broken forearm. I remember I broke the fork of my brand new bike. But the whole thing is, without the aspiration, without the mission, without the goal, being set, I was unwilling. I would have been unwilling to endure any of the pressure that it takes to sort of acquire, these abilities. And nowadays, you have kids, like, think about how many expert level video game players there are. And think next how absolutely fucking useless that skill is. Like, elite level gaming ability kids have these days at a level that is just, every once in a while there's some fucking 8-year-old on Call of Duty that's just like a mass murderer, and like nobody can fucking touch him. He knows every fucking place to camp on every map. He knows exactly the fucking time, the reactionary gap of the characters based on the different weapons. Like, he's got everything figured down. And I can't help but to think, what a useless fucking skill. What a useless, like, you go to the hood. Everyone's a fucking rapper. Everyone's a
rapper.
I think I lost Ricardo.
Okay. No, I'm here.
You there? All right.
It's just falling.
It seems like sometimes I lose you and sometimes I don't. It's maybe that's part of the one of the drawbacks of this platform is it's kind of a little twitchy.
Well, what I keep hearing is it sounds like you keep dropping your phone.
Oh, okay. All right. I know what that is. No, I got
it. So like, I know, like, you go to my old neighborhood and everybody's a fucking rapper. And I remember I used to work in that the camp that I talk about all the time, for the handicapped kids, Camp Oakhurst in Oakhurst, New Jersey. And there was a counselor there, and he was a rapper, and he was an amazing rapper. Like, as far as writing his stuff and delivering it, and his ability to keep a beat and a cadence of his flow, if you will. He was incredible rapper, but not making any fucking money from rapping, as far as I could tell. Was there, as a counselor to handicapped kids like I was, and we didn't make shit in that camp, And I can't help but to think how many people have these abilities, these skills that are completely fucking useless, and they'll argue, for this skill and the acquisition and development of this skill, because they've been told from the time they're born, you have to follow your dreams. You could be anything, all this other fluffy bullshit that just comes from, being a fucking fish in an aquarium. It's like, no, we have certain things we have to develop, we have to do, we have to learn, we have to apply before we get to pursuing those things that we're passionate about. You should be passionate about staying alive first and foremost. The problem is that my dog's going apeshit outside. But the problem is that, what it takes to do that, what it takes to actually install those skills isn't a necessity in this aquarium society,
No, absolutely. Well, I mean, those skills are only skills that can develop in a time of prosperity, right? I mean, those are court jester skills, and they're not necessary for survival. They're entertainments. The same could be said for. I mean, although there is an athletic element to any sports stars, the same could be said for those. I mean, learning how to play a game really well, while it may make you strong or fast, it doesn't prepare you for the rigors of combat to survive, right?
Right.
So, I'll take a plumber over a basketball player any day of the week. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely. Pat, I'm going to make you the primary here, and I think my dog is going after somebody. I have to put him back in his crate.
Okay. What's up? So, Carl Klein says, as of 2013, the 15 highest paid professional gamers in the world earn between $226,000 and $450,000.
Hold on a sec, Pat.
Okay.
I'm going to leave my camera up so you can still hear Ricardo.
Okay.
I'm good.
Awesome. What's up, Ricardo?
Yeah, I'm good, brother.
All right, you can hear me, right?
Yeah, you're just in the background a little bit, but I got you.
All right, cool. Yeah, so the guy was saying, Chris, he said that pro gamers don't make a lot of money. $200,000 to $400,000 a year for pro gaming. It's a court jester skill.
Okay, well, I mean, they're definitely making money out of it, right? But I mean, that money only comes when there's the prosperity to allow those skills to develop. Yeah. Which is exactly what we were just saying. They're like, yeah, okay, so you are making some money. Good for you, man. You found your niche, but how long is that going to last when things start to get tough, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a court jester skill,
Yes, sir.
If we hit stage 9 and there's no electricity, what is your use?
And what happens when the people are using the generators they're draining the generators of copper wire so they can make cooking elements?
Yeah.
What are you going to do then?
Then where does that skill leave you? It's something that exists because stronger people forged the way so that you could be a fucking gamer for a living.
Yeah.
And I play games. I like games.
All your ancestors suffered so you can have this nice soft existence. All right, cool, man. I mean, but at least if you're going to do that, recognize that fact that we just spoke of.
Yeah, 100%.
I should maybe be a little bit humble about this, because without all the sacrifices that my parents and their parents and everyone else in my community made, I wouldn't be able to sit on my ass and push buttons all day and rake in some dough.
Well, it's the court jester syndrome, where basketball players, baseball players, everyone who does something that entertains the masses, they're put on a pedestal that doesn't really qualify that. They make so much money. The guy plays basketball, makes millions of dollars because people prop them up unnecessarily. When their skill in that, I mean, it's almost a throwaway, but it's the society that pushes them to the forefront so that they are super important, when in reality they're not. Yeah, in the Roman Empire, that was the gladiator and the prostitute. Sometimes that was the same thing. And it's arguable that entertainers are basically prostituting their talent or whatever they have. They're dependent upon their patrons in order to make a living, right? Without an audience, they have no living. I assume that if they treat the audience like their customer, I guess that makes some sort of sense. But as you said, I mean, those skills are unnecessary for survival. Court jester stuff. Yeah, 100%. And honestly, I think they shouldn't be held to the levels of the heights of glory that they are given compared to people that are actually out there in the world, making a solid difference in reality, as opposed to just tossing out death of art, where it's art. Well, yeah, it's actually kind of like what. So you're telling me Piss Christ is art? It's decadence, is what it is. Right. Yeah. I'm back.
Yeah, I'm back. I was getting a delivery, so I was nervous because I heard my dog going ape shit, and I know my wife took the kids out. So I'm like, is my dog going after somebody right now? But it was just a delivery, so he's good to go. So now, we're talking about video game players. What's going on?
Court jester syndrome. People getting attention and everyone paying attention to them for something that what happens when shit hits the fan. How many fucking pro gamers are going to be worth a shit when there's no electricity?
Right. So there's a couple of different ways you can look at that. I'd say one is the pro gamer. I see Lockie put up that PewDiePie, I think he's called. PewDiePie makes $15 million a year. Well, if you're a video game player who's making $15 million a year, you could do a lot of good training with $15 million a year, you know? 100%. So again, it's the ritual, right? So we talk about the Function First program that I did for the member site. You know, are we living a ritualed life? Are we living a life that through its ritual maintains that functional level of skills that will allow you to thrive no matter what environment you are in? Understanding full well that you may never wind up, you know, like all of us train. I know, Ricardo, you and I have trained, you know, in real life. You know, Pat, obviously, like we do real world training for real world shit. It's the fan type scenarios, you know, but we understand that these situations may never arise, but it's maintaining the identity through our ritual and through our training that we're committed to because we know that there's value in that. And I think when it comes to video game players, the one way to look at it is, oh, listen, even if they're making bank, you know, they should still be doing the things necessary to maintain, through ritual at least, you know, their capabilities of what we consider to be masculine traits, you know, to be able to fulfill the role of a warrior in their respective tribes. The other way to look at it is, you know, if you're talking about, you know, video gamers, because I see Carl's comment here, you know, video gamers making that money. Well, yeah, that's fine. But, you know, I think it's very similar to the MMA scenario where, you know, people want to tell me how, and I'm not saying Carl's taking this position, but people want to tell me how much money Conor McGregor makes and somehow position that as an argument for becoming an MMA fighter. It's like, listen, look at every single guy that fights MMA and then look at the percentage of people that make an amount of money that you deem acceptable, you know, and then compare that to other people. You know, like you will make more money being a plumber. You know, like you will make more money being a cop, believe it or not, right? You make more money being a whole shitload of other things rather than being an MMA fighter. So, you know, a lot of guys, you know, I have the school, people come in all the time too. I want to be a pro MMA fighter. I want to go to the UFC. I said, your best way to go to the UFC is to buy a fucking ticket like anybody else, sit there, enjoy the show, and the next fucking Monday go to work. You know, because that is the formula that probability-wise is going to be successful. So, you know, I think there's an argument for, you know, there being money at the pinnacle of any trade or, you know, or career or whatnot, you know, whether it's a video game player, an MMA fighter or whatever. But I think, you know, who has a good piece on this? Gary Vaynerchuk. And one of the things that he's saying is like, listen, you don't have the time to start a business. You don't have the money to start a business because you can't quit your job because you have, he goes, well, listen, you work from 9 to 5, you get home. Well, what are you doing from 7 to midnight? You know, like, because that's the time you could start your business. That's the time that you could, you know, find to leverage your future. Until, you know, that happens though, you have to go to your fucking job every day. And I think when it comes down to it, a lot of people just aren't, you know, willing to do what's necessary to make a business work. And it's ironic because you'll have people that won't be willing to hold down a 9 to 5 and build a business during those extra hours. But somehow they think that when you run a business, you aren't working those extra hours also, you know? So it's like, no, I'm already working 40 hours a week. Oh yeah, well, I got news for you. You know, for the first few years that you run a business, there are exceptions, obviously, but the first few years, you're going to be working 80 hours a week on the business anyway. You know, so you're not even willing to put in an extra 40 to get it started right now. It's like, keep your fucking day job, you know?
Yeah, brother. Well, you know, I know you're like me, that you're a night stalker like me.
Yeah.
So I see you creeping about the darkness at all hours like I do.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's absolutely. I mean, all the guys I know that have started their own business that have been successful are that exact formula that you just mentioned. Not only are they working a full week's work, they're also working when they're not at work. And they're working when they're not at work, not working, they're thinking about working.
Right.
How they can make their business better. And that's how the successful guys go. But that's why most businesses fail. What is it, like 90% of startup businesses fail?
Yep.
6 months.
Some ridiculously high number fail. And that's because people don't understand that when you become an entrepreneur, you're absorbing a lot of the responsibility that is given to the person who employs you when you're not an entrepreneur.
Right. Michael Gerber.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Michael Gerber, in his book, The E-Myth, I think the latest one's The E-Myth Revisited, he speaks about what entrepreneurs go through. And a lot of them are technicians. They're people that do the thing. And they find themselves within the confines of somebody else's business. And they have what Gerber calls the entrepreneurial seizure, where they say, you know what? I'm tired of making somebody else rich. I'm going to do this for myself. And they don't realize that they, in that business, as the technician, they wear only one of many hats necessary for them to be able to make money as a technician. And they have that sort of the realization, that slap in the face when they go to open a business and they realize, oh, wait a minute, I need to be a marketer. I need to be a salesman. I need to be a bookkeeper. I need to be a customer service rep. I need to be a quality control department. There are so many other things that are involved in it. And a lot of times they don't understand that until it's too late, or they eventually understand it and they say, you know what, fuck this. This isn't for me. I'd rather work my 9 to 5 and then do what I want to do on the side than have to fucking deal with this bullshit. I for one could vouch for having started, maintained, and in some cases been successful at a bunch of different formats of business. The biggest thing I had to learn was that the technician was almost just a fucking plug and chug aspect to a business. You could find a technician. I forget who I was listening to recently, and it was about business and about leveraging one's efforts. And he was saying that, we say that 10,000 hours is the commonly understood threshold for mastery, elite level skill anyway. Ricardo, I'm going to cut you off because I'm getting a whole bunch of noises.
Yeah, brother, that's good. That may be when I mute the phone. We're learning things here. That may be when I mute the phone. It makes that it's very strange. It's like I can't touch anything on the phone.
Right.
It's a very sensitive program. So,
well, we'll square it away. All right, I cut him off. Thank you, though, Ricardo. So I was saying that this guy was saying, 10,000 hours is what a lot of people commonly nowadays, accept as the threshold for mastery. As soon as somebody does something for 10,000 hours, he becomes a master, he becomes an expert, he becomes elite at that skill. He goes, well, the secret to being an entrepreneur is understanding that, with a little bit of time, a little bit of money, a little bit of investment, capital, influence, network, rapport, you recruit people that have 10,000 hours in all these different skills. And, at the heart of what being an entrepreneur is, it's really understanding that I need to find the best possible person to fill these different roles in my business. I know, a very common challenge for people who run successful businesses by themselves is learning how to delegate. You had a big obstacle with that in New Rock.
Yeah.
When the robot was running the show, everything was running, full steam ahead. But there's a certain level of growth where that can't be maintained and we have to delegate. And when you start talking about lifestyle, quality of life, listen, my business right now, the Jungle Gym's running in the Bronx. I haven't called in yet to find out what happened today. I haven't gotten any reports yet. But I trust fully that it's running on all cylinders because I've grown to that point. But as an entrepreneur, I'm obviously somebody who doesn't say, okay, this is running, set it and forget it. Let me go and dick around for the rest of my life. It's always on to the next thing, on to the next thing. And I think that's what being an entrepreneur is,
Yeah, that's true.
In your experience, pal, what are some of the things that maybe you had to learn? Because you obviously you're a lot newer to this than I am, but you've been at it for some time now. You've gone through a couple of different stages. What are some of the things that you maybe have learned in your development as an entrepreneur?
First was the major hurdle was not making decisions. Like, remember when you told me stop asking me,
right?
Like, oh, I'm going to make this ad. What do you think? You're like, no, you just do it. Fail, make a mistake. Like,
right.
I was I didn't want to make any mistakes, so I would run everything by you, every little detail and decision. It's like, no, man, you know what to do. You know what to do. Make it happen. If something's wrong, we'll fix it. So that was something that was important. Just being able to make decisions. The other thing would be definitely delegation. Doing every single thing yourself. While it does get done right, it might not get done with the expediency that is necessary for long-term success. So being able to let go and understand that, and also not knowing that not everyone's going to do it perfect.
Right.
They're going to do it to their level, and as long as that level is functional and acceptable, fucking A, let's do it, and let's be more powerful by letting others become powerful, not just trying to do everything yourself. So that was a major thing, and it's been going really well. The school's been doing good. We've been able to do other things like when we do our training and pressure project stuff. So, things are going well, but that was a big thing. Like, you don't have to do everything yourself. There's power in letting go,
and it's funny because, teaching you leadership skills, because, you left, whenever Pat laughs, that means I probably almost killed him 100 times during the process.
That's 100% correct.
But conceptually, right, as illustrated by me working with you on it, one of the things that a lot of people struggle to learn, and it was a hurdle for you, is that the mission was important. So when managing people, one of the big mistakes that people make is, we just overlay our own personas on these individuals. And we say, well, I could do it, then they can do it. And if they can't do it, it's an excuse. If they can't do it, they don't want to do it, or they're not taking this seriously enough. And, again, I'll go to operant conditioning and animal behavior. It's, if we want a dog to sit or we want a dog to perform a trick, at no point do we expect English to work? Like, listen, dog, we do whatever it takes to get the thing done. And that example, the good thing I think about the contrast of that type of example is that we don't have an emotional connection to a dog being retarded. Like we know it's a dog. Every time it doesn't listen to you or it fucks up, we're like, fucking stupid dog. But then we keep trying again. But we don't take it personally. At no point do we go, this dog is fucking with me. This dog. With people, though, that is what a lot of people opt for in the beginning because it's new. And I think that especially like the things that I've been through in business, and, I think about guys like, even before he became president, Donald Trump, like you have probably like Donald Trump before he became president, before he ran for president, he's an example of a very sort of polarizing figure that probably half the planet hates, right? So
yep.
How does somebody like that continue? And this is the figurative question. How does somebody like that manage to crush day in and day out while so many people are either hoping for at a minimum or acting on, probably more realistically, his demise on a daily basis? And one of the big things is he doesn't become emotionally involved. He has to understand he has a mission and there are certain things that he can control. And that is all he's going to base his success on, leveraging those things that he can control to actually produce a result, that is in line with the mission. And when it comes to managing people, it's very similar in that, what their capabilities, what their incapabilities are. The thing that matters is finding a way to get the job done. And we have certain people who are going to be better at, math and handling the bookkeeping and the numbers. We have other people that are going to be better with people. We have other people that are going to be better technicians. This guy can't answer a phone, can't fucking sign somebody up, but holy fuck teaches a class that everybody's glowing at the end of, and we have to find a way as leaders to sort of get everybody in the position to best pursue mission, right?
100%.
And, it's a good friend of ours, right? Our guy in Long Island, he says, his father told him in business, he said, listen, if they were as good as you, they'd be doing it, for themselves and not working for you, and it's a very simple assessment, but I think very much the truth and very easy to understand. It's, by the way, if they were as entrepreneurial and had all of my traits, they wouldn't be working for me. I'm not working for somebody else. Why? Because it's not who I am, but here they are working for me. So to apply my hopes and aspirations and traits and characteristics, to them and the expectations I have of them is not only unfair in a sense that we didn't agree that they had to be me in order to work for me successfully. Not only is it unfair, but it's ultimately just ineffective, because you wind up not being able to utilize people to the best of their abilities, And, when you look at a basketball team, there's one guy who could dribble the ball really well. He's the point guard. There's one guy that usually is really tall and is good at grabbing missed shots. He's usually the center. And, football team, there's one guy who throws the ball well. He's the quarterback. There's one guy who catches the ball really well. He's the wide receiver. There's roles in so many things that we do and we understand them conceptually. But the application to something like business is where a lot of people, trip, I think,
Yeah, 100%. I thought you were going to say that the guy in the center is also illiterate, but I guess I misread what you were.
All right, so Lockie has a question. If there was one book on entrepreneurship you could recommend, which would it be? So there, if you are a member of or have subscribed to the Master Chim letter, right, which is my email newsletter, which is free, you can go to masterchim.com and sign up for it if you haven't. I wrote a whole series of individual emails about this. And, I would definitely say if you haven't signed up for it, definitely do. But just to answer that, it's a tough one. It's a tough one to answer because, I've gone through so many stages of business as an entrepreneur that the book that helped me last year is not the book that helped me the year before that. It's not the book that helped me in the beginning. It's not the book that I'm probably reading now. I think if you're thinking about opening up a business or becoming an entrepreneur, I would say probably the E-Myth Revisited. If I had to say, nuts and bolts, meat and potatoes, how do I get some information that's going to help me, in my endeavor? The E-Myth Revisited, I think, will get you thinking right and thinking congruently with what's going to make a business successful. Beyond that, I'm very much I would say a philosopher when it comes to, what works in business and paying attention to mindset and outlook and, the universals that, that embody, the business experience, the entrepreneurship, journey. I would say Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, is mandatory reading. I would say more contemporary, the 4-Hour Workweek, Tim Ferriss, is a great book. There's a lot of things, I think, Robert Greene's Mastery helps with business. I think, as you start getting comfortable with, this lifestyle and with the approach that entrepreneurs take to being successful, you'll find that there are a lot of different sources of power that on the surface, an outsider or a pre-entrepreneur may not, think is relevant, So if I had to, somebody who's not an entrepreneur yet that wants to be, what should they get? Probably I would say The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. Once you've opened your business, Think and Grow Rich, the 4-Hour Work Week, I think there are a bunch of productive ones. I would start with those though, So, but good question.
Yeah, solid. Think and Grow Rich is legit. Did you watch The Founder yet, MC?
I didn't watch The Founder yet.
Pretty good.
You said it's on Netflix?
Yeah, it's on Netflix. No, I don't know if it's on Netflix. I watched it on the Fire Stick.
Right. Yeah, I got to.
Fire Stick.
Yeah, I'll download it then because, I'll purchase it legally.
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, I think I probably looked for it on Netflix once and didn't find it.
Yeah, I didn't. I watched it on the Fire Stick.
Yeah. All right, very cool.
It's good.
All right. Are there any questions we missed?
No.
All right. I think we're going to end it there then. Solid show, solid content. We got, you guys know the Pressure Project Members is our website. If you haven't gone there, go and check it out. There is a new face on the page. It's going to be getting changed soon. So those of you that are behind the scenes, you guys have already seen the tremendous amount of changes we've made. Stay tuned because there's more. We got more content coming out. By next week, I'm going to have the Reactionary Gap Power Program up, which is going to be fucking awesome. I talked to Tuan Tom about it, and he's going to participate in some of the components also. He's the one that taught me about it, so I think it's only fair that I have him get some input on it. I had never heard about it until Tuan Tom mentioned it to me, and using the concept and applying it, all over, I got to see, because that's how I work. How do I extract the universal from this and apply it to different things? And Reactionary Gap is one of those just tremendously powerful lessons and laws that I think people need to familiarize themselves with and learn to master over time. But that'll be next week for you members. For you non-members, you guys know, at least sign up to the Master Chim letter, completely free. It's an email. I send you at least one email in your email box. I think it's every other day. We're going to be actually changing.
It's every day.
Is it every day?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we changed it already.
Yeah.
Man, look, I don't even realize. I was like, fuck, I forgot to tell Pat this.
We did.
Remember now. I told you last week. Yeah. There's going to be about, 30 emails?
31.
31 emails?
This is a welcome email. Yeah, 31, let's just say.
Right. So what's going to happen is you're going to go through those pre-written emails, and then it's going to be a daily email that I'm sending out. So you'll get a message from me every day. I haven't decided on the time of the email. Probably going to be around noon, right? Because, I'm not usually up, in the morning hours.
Noon 47.
Right. But the whole thing is, it's a way to connect, get content that's fresh, and it's completely free. For those of you on the member side, obviously, you got a bunch of stuff waiting for you. So we're going to end it there. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for spending the time with us and hanging out. And talk to you next time. And as always, brothers, pressure to power.